Good morning, everyone. It is April 27th. I'm Karen Canfield from the Board of Selectmen. We're here with today's update on COVID and town activities in this emergency. So I'm here with Jim Bedreau, our town administrator, and I'll let him get to the important announcements. And then we have some other issues that I wanted to just run by after we've got the update on COVID.
So first, before I get into the important stuff, I'm sorry about the lighting. I tried everything in the office to get the lighting better. Then I realized it's just me. This is the way I look. The lighting's not going to make it any better, but the lighting's not great. So, but people can still see me and hear me. Very busy weekend this weekend in Scituate. On Friday, we had 7 new cases on our list. On Saturday, we had 3, and on Sunday, we had 1. So we had 11 cases over the weekend. That's a big increase for us, a big jump. But before people get too excited about that, of the 7 cases on Friday, 6 of them were what I call pairs. That is 2 people in the same household. So even though we had 7 cases, we only had 4 additional households. That's to be expected, that people in the same household will get COVID-19, will test positive. So although it's a lot of cases, it is not a lot of new households. Of the 3 cases on Saturday, 1 has already finished their quarantine and 1 finishes their quarantine tomorrow. So at this point, we're at 67 cases in the town of Scituate. But again, before people get too worried about that, we have less than 15 cases right now that are still on quarantine. So most of the cases have come in, they've done their quarantine, and they've come off. So people are doing a good job. We need them to social distance still. The Department of Health here is urging people to follow the state and the federal guidelines about social distancing, about wearing masks. We are seeing mostly high school kids tending to group together now. They are still seem to be going to parks. Skate park was very popular the other day. We had some of the police over there a couple times. Teenagers are a low risk group for COVID-19. However, it's not them getting COVID-19. It's them getting exposed to COVID-19 and bringing it home to someone who might be an at-risk person for COVID-19. So you need to keep your children social distancing. You need to keep yourself social distancing. The numbers are coming down. The curve is flattening. I had a call yesterday, and the representative from Mass General said the numbers are coming down in the partner system, and that's the biggest system in the state. So it is working. Please keep it up. Saturday, I took a ride out to Lighthouse Point around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a beautiful day. I wanted to see how things were going out there. There were maybe 2 or 3 available parking spaces. The parking lot was absolutely full. People were trying to social distance, but there were just too many people out there. So I think at this point, I'm going to meet with the health agent, Drew Shealy. I'm going to meet with Kevin Cafferty, our DPW director. And I think we're going to restrict some of the parking out at Lighthouse Point. People will still be able to go out there. It's a beautiful spot. We want people to enjoy it. But I think we need to cut down the number of people who can be there at any one time by restricting some of that parking. So we're going to talk about that today and see if we can come up with a method to do that. Because of the weather, we have a couple days to come up with that plan. I don't think a lot of people are out there today. But when the weather's getting nicer, it is going to be an issue again back out there. But one more thing on COVID-19. Again, we have our website set up, all things COVID-19. Go to that link. From there, you can get to the DPH, you can get to the CDC, any way you want, get any information you need. It's very good. We update it constantly. People, businesses, anybody who's looking for information about COVID-19, go to that website. Today at the transfer station, 8 to 10 is senior hours. We will keep that up for the pandemic until the emergency's over. By the time people see this, it'll mostly be over. But again, every Monday now from 8 to 10, we will have senior hours at the transfer station. When we talk about Cedar Point this afternoon, Lighthouse Point, the health department, and Kevin and I will also review our moratorium on water hookups. We have put that in place, as people know, to protect our water department employees from potentially being exposed to COVID-19 and to make sure we can keep a critical number of employees necessary to run the water plant safe and healthy. We'll talk about that today, about maybe reopening that or ending that moratorium later this week, probably next week if we're going to do it, but we'll have that announcement on Thursday. And then people who have called, we'll just do them on we have a list. We'll just go right to the list and start hooking people out. Again, the issue is not coming out and turning on your water, we know that can be done with almost no contact with anybody. But the issue for us is those couple of times we go out, they turn the gate breaks, and now all of a sudden I have the entire on-duty water department either in the hole or in the truck or there trying to fix that water break. We don't want that to happen. So we said we'd give it 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks. We'll review that today and make a decision this week and let people know whether or not we're going to start turning those water services back on. It's pretty nasty out today. You may or may not see the grinders, but we are scheduled to start grinding for the paving season this week. So people should see them at some point out grinding the roads, getting those ready for paving. That's what I have. I know, Karen, you have some questions. So
I do. I also, thanks, Jim, so much. I think the folks who are waiting for water hookup will be happy to hear that that's under consideration this week. Tomorrow night is the Board of Selectmen's regularly scheduled meeting. There's a dial-in number if you have something that you want to participate. The agenda is online at situatemass.gov. And as Chairman Vignani has said, while we meet remotely during the emergency, the items on our agenda are things that just have to be done. We are going to try to postpone conversations about things that really need more robust public conversation until we can have those conversations. So you can see there's 5 things on the agenda for tomorrow night, and that will be broadcast live, even though most of us will be remote. I wanted to Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt, but I think the big thing on the agenda tomorrow night, if people want to at least tune in, is the board will be discussing the tax relief, the municipal relief legislation for COVID-19. So those really 2 things are to push back the due date for taxes from May 1st to June 1st, and a waiver of penalties and interest on things that are late being paid. And that would be not only your income tax, your property tax, but excise tax and things like that. So those are on the agenda for tomorrow night.
Okay, great. That's good news for everybody to have that conversation. Well, also on the agenda is talking about our town election and annual town meeting, which, as Jim pointed out last time, is right now scheduled for May 11th. And I don't think any of us think that is going to be feasible. So we'll have that conversation tomorrow night too, to make a decision.
Yeah, 2 issues on that. One, of course, is the social distancing. I don't think we can have it with social distancing, although I know there's one town, I can't remember who it is contemplating an outside town meeting in June. Something to think about. But the other issue is, where's the budget right now? And we have a budget that's done, that's in the warrant, that I don't think right now is reality. I just think the economic situation has changed so much that budget's going to have to be adjusted. And we're not ready to do that yet because we haven't gotten any guidance from the state as to exactly how much that budget's going to need to be adjusted. We've done, the finance director, Nancy, and I have done probably a dozen different adjustments, ranging from nothing to 10% reductions in state aid from current year levels. But until we get some guidance, it's just exercises in math.
Jim, remind us what the governor's order was regarding municipal budgets. We can limp along on 1/12 or?
So state governments and city governments can do a 1/12 budget if they haven't passed their fiscal year budgets by the start of the fiscal year. Towns do not have the legal authority to do that. The governor has given us that. The legislature has given us that. So if we do not enact a budget by July 1st, we still have the ability to spend and to keep things running and pay people. And that's basically a 1/12 of last year with some carve-outs. So we pay our property insurance, up front because we get a discount to pay it all at once. We pay our pension obligation up front because we get a discount by paying it up front. So those are carve-outs that you can still do those outside the 1/12. But if we don't have a budget by July 1st, we will still have the ability to run the town until we have a budget passed.
Great. Yeah, thank you to you and Nancy so much for, we're all just trying to figure this out as we go, and things are going to be changing pretty dramatically. I just wanted folks to know that in that same vein, our Economic Development Commission is already beginning conversations to see what the town can do, to recommend things the town can do to help with what we assume will be a rolling reopening of some sort once we get guidance from the state. So they're putting their heads together to try to come up with some creative ways to present to the board and to the town administrator. If you have ideas, if you're a business owner and you have some thoughts that you think would be useful for the whole town, feel free to email me or anybody on the Economic Development Commission as they begin those conversations. I also just want to shout out to the teachers who have become so creative in how they are educating our children, and the parents who are there every day. I know that, you know, it's everything's on its head, and I'm working twice as hard as I did when I had to go into the office, because you got to figure it all out at home. And you know, kudos to the teachers and the parents for figuring that out. I did want to point out that if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you need resources that the town can't provide, go to mass.gov to the COVID page. There are 100 links for whatever your questions are, whatever assistance you think you might need. So I encourage you to check those resources out. Those are my announcements. I did have a couple questions that people have brought to the board's attention that I wanted to bring to Jim's attention.
So the only other thing I would talk about is May 4th is the expiration of the governor's order, his shutdown order. That's next week. I anticipate he will be extending that for a period of time. I don't know how long, but we will be starting to have conversations with the governor, with the MMA, on reopening, what that's going to look like, how that's going to look like. I think the conversation will start turning from essential, non-essential to compliant, non-compliant. And there'll be a series of guidelines that people would need to meet. If you can meet those, you can start to open your business. But if you look at the fact that you can go to the Stop and Shop, you can go to a liquor store, you can go to a restaurant, order, pay, they come out, they put in your car, you never actually interact with anybody. You know, why can't a small business in the harbor have that ability? So I think those are going to be the conversations about reopening on a smaller scale. Things like the golf course, things like the marina, where you can social distance, where you can't have that separation. If you can take your precautions, those are things I think that we'll start talking about opening up. And unfortunately, the last will probably be eat-in restaurants, just because of the social distancing issues that arise there. But I think over the next week to 10 days, we will start having conversations in earnest about how we're going to reopen the economy.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I know that a lot of the downtown harbor stores have gotten their online inventory online, so you can actually shop from your home at local stores. So look into that, because, and as Jim says, they'll deliver, or you could do curbside. But I know a number of the shops have gotten that stuff all organized. So please go shopping. We had a couple of questions from residents. I think the most consistent one is the town considering making masks mandatory when you go into a store, if you go into a restaurant?
That's up to the Board of Health. I know I spoke to the health agent this morning. He has actually queried town council as to whether or not they have the authority to do that. I know some towns have done it. I think there is a question of whether or not they can enforce it. But the directive from the Attorney General was, you can do it as an advisory, but check with your town council. So we're checking with council. We have what the other towns have done. So he's gonna get that guidance, and then they'll make a decision. But we can mandate it all we want. People still have to do it. Someone has to go out and police it. I'm not sure who we're going to do that. It's a health department directive. There's one health agent in the town. He can't be everywhere. So even if you mandate it, people still need to do it because it's the right thing to do, not because we tell you to do it. But they're looking at it. It would take a vote of the Board of Health, and he just needed some direction from town council, so he's going to get that.
Okay, thanks. That's a really good point. You guys, if you haven't got a mask, if you're having difficulty locating a mask, you can go to sandshelps.org. They have purchased, through donations, a supply. They're going to prioritize the elderly and the vulnerable, 2 per household, but there are masks available through that organization, and they will get them to you if you can't get them. There's also a number of online ways to get them if you have the means to purchase them. But yeah, I keep one in my pocketbook and in my dog walking coat at all times because, as Jim said, just wear them. You don't need us to tell you that it's the right thing to do.
If you're going to be inside a store, inside a public place, you should wear a mask, period. If you're going to be outside and you think you may have an issue with social distancing, you should wear a mask. I took my kids up to the Ellis Estate a couple weeks ago. We were the only ones there. So do I need to wear a mask walking around there?
Yeah.
Probably not. But if I'm walking out the lighthouse or down Driftway Park, maybe I do, because getting in and out of your car in those parking lots, it is crowded. So you need to use common sense. If in doubt, put on a mask. It's as simple as that.
The other question that people is along the same lines is, we hear about the contact tracing, we hear about, asymptomatic. Do you have any information about if we'll get local testing or what that's going to look like?
Not at this point. And, part of the problem with the local testing is right now the tests you get take a couple days to come back. So by the time you get symptomatic, you go have your tests and it comes back, you're talking 5 to 10 days from when you actually could have been contagious. So now you have to go back and try to reconstruct those 10 days, where you were, who you talked with, who you were in close contact with. And what they kind of look at is within 6 feet, more than 10 minutes. Those are the people that would be most at risk. So the big thing on the contact tracing, the big thing on the testing will be a test that is very quick and very reliable. So right now, they have not talked about that. I know Somerville is trying to roll out something. I have no idea where they're getting the testing kits from to do it. But that type of testing right now at this level is not available to us.
Okay, so we should keep wearing our masks. That's the best thing we can do locally.
No, I think that's going to be a thing going forward. One of the things people are going to start talking about is the beaches. Can we open the beaches? Can you social distance at the beach? If you can't social distance, people are going to have some pretty weird tan lines if they have to wear a mask at
just thinking
the beach. But, again, looking at Peggotty Beach, it's a big beach, but are we going to have to restrict parking and lower the number of people who can go there? Those are conversations we're going to have over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, great. That's all I have. We will continue these broadcasts on Monday and Thursday. If you have questions in the interim, please don't hesitate to call the Board of Selectmen office. And if you're certainly having a good day to stay home, I'm happy. I don't have anywhere to go. So please stay safe, wear your mask, take care of each other, and lean on those that are here waiting to help you.